this one.
I like it too.
The follow-up book? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Harry Potter for girls.
Yeah.
Or like Jane Austen with witchcraft, basically.
I feel like the thing is, like, the characters kind of, I almost feel like they could only develop so much.
Yeah.
Like, so after, like this one, there was a lot of character transformation where, like, the main character kind of realized that, like, these two rich girls aren't so bad, and this not so rich girl, like, she starts to understand everything that's, like, happened to this girl and, like, all the stuff she has to deal with and why certain things make her so upset. And then after that, there's just only so much further they can go.
Well, you know, one of the things I really liked about it is that it kind of went there. Sort of like Degrassi. Like, they talked about some bad stuff, but they talked about it in a totally, like, a YA way, which I kind of really appreciated. And I liked how there was, like, magic, but not too much magic.
Yeah.
And, like, I like the realm thing, and what's the boyfriend's name? He's not the boyfriend, but he's totally
Kartik?
the boyfriend. Yeah,
Is it like Kartik or Kartik? I never figured out how to really.
No, he's adorable. I think in like real life he's a hottie.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Like, I wish that there'd been like more of him though, like more like actual conversations.
Yeah, I know, you have to wait for
he's so enigmatic.
Well, you have to wait for like the last one to get.
I have the last one. I haven't finished it.
You haven't finished it yet? No. It's kind of key.
Hmm?
It's kind of key. Like, you're like, oh, I love him. And then, you know, so, not that you don't still love him, but, you know, stuff happens. It's pretty intense. But I do really like this. This was on the summer reading list. I had taken it off just to make room for Graceling. But yeah, I like Gemma. I like pretty much everything.
I read this for my summer reading book my freshman year.
Nice.
I actually started it out in Idaho when I was staying with in this people's house, and their daughter, who wasn't even living with them anymore, she had some books that were in the room that I was staying in, so I just kind of started going through books, and that was one of the ones.
Well, this really has like a Revolutions type feel to me. Did you read that?
No.
It was really good. It was recommended by our former librarian, Mrs. Dunnigan-Atley. It's fantastic, yet cliched. Does that make sense? Like, this is fantastic, yet cliched.
It's like, you can kind of predict where the plot's gonna go.
Exactly.
And like Pippa, there's a spoiler right here. Obviously, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
I expected her to die the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the entire time, but like, when she dies, it's just like, yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Because she's so like.
That was totally kind of a big
It's kind of the way, it's not necessarily the way she acted, but the way everybody else thought about her throughout the book. It's like she's gonna die. Like, they can't keep this character. They're gonna kill the character. So it's like, because everybody just like loved her so much, and she's the innocent one and the pretty one. It's like, yeah, she's not staying.
Yep. Nope. She's cannon fodder. That's right. Nope. Overall, it's a very good read. However, if you're like, I've seen this before, you kind of have. And I was just checking to see if Libba Bray is a pseudonym, because Libba Bray sounds like the fakest name ever. So we have to look that up.
Actually, because part of the plot of the second book, not really the plot, but like there's this little part where they're going, like they realize that like there's this character who would disguise herself by like mixing up the letters of her name. Yeah. So her name was like Sarah Rees-Toon.
Yeah.
Just big spoiler here.
Oh my gosh, this is a big. You gotta stop with these big spoilers, Mom. You gotta stop. You can't just give it away.
All right.
Anyways,
Brandon can edit that out if he wants.
Yeah.
That's part of your project. Yeah. Editing out all the spoilers you don't think are necessary.
That's right. But I totally think that this is a fake name. And honestly, and I do really like the book, but another thing about it is that I feel like lately there's been like this trend of like Victorian gossip girl, like witch type books.
It's the steampunk gone like girly.
You're totally right.
Like, you know what steampunk is, right?
I do.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very few people actually know what it is.
Well, that's because they don't read comic books. That's where I get all my information.
Yeah, I've read it all so fun.
Yes.
But, like, I'll admit that the only real steampunk book I've ever read is one. Yeah. But I hear a lot about it because one of my friends is obsessed with, like, the real steampunk. So she at least I understand, like, how it works.
Yes.
But it's like, the steampunk is all popular, you make it girly, and then it's popular for girly girls?
Well, that's what happens. They're always trying to get the girl market, and especially because girls tend to be more of readers than guys are. So, like, we'll probably have more girls watching this than boys.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, it's it's when they try to girl it up. Sometimes it gets kind of trashy.
Yeah.
Because they like just don't know where to go. They just spend like paragraphs describing dresses, and it's like not really into that. That's people that are reading this book do not care about those things. Steampunk, I learned about steampunk from a comic book. It's called Five Fists of Science. It stars Mark Twain and Nikolai Tesla, who is amazing and made Thomas Edison look like a punk.
Oh yeah, once you get into Leviathan, Nikola Tesla becomes one of the main characters.
Seriously? All right, good, because I had some issues with Leviathan.
All right, we'll get into that in a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else you need to talk about this book?
No, I think we're good.
All right, now it is time for Leviathan. I'm Manon, this is Mrs. McCauley, and we are talking about Leviathan.
Yes, we are. I just finished it last night. I know it changed Manon's life, so I want to hear from her about how it changed her life. Because for me, I said, good book. And that's kind of it. So that's what we're working on.
I think part of the reason I'm so obsessed with Leviathan is not the book itself. It's all the stuff that kind of comes with it, and like the people that I've met because of it, and the discussions I've had because of it, and all the like artwork and the fan fiction. I have a little obsession with fan fiction. Even though some of it is terrible, some of it's
still awesome. It's still awesome. I understand.
The
Law and Order,
awesome.
Law and Order fan fiction is pretty fabulous.
Yeah. But it's like I think the whole like the world building thing, and like what do you think of Darren? Because a lot of people hate Darren and a lot of people love Darren.
So that's the thing. As I was like, girl, dress up like boy, join the Air Force. Like,
because all the good characters come in the second book.
All right, good, because really, I was like, that's like they did that like this was Family Robinson like 50-something years ago. I'm kind of over it. Yeah. But no, I like it. I like how I like Dr. Nora. I like Dr. Darwin, right? That's her last name. Barlow, right? But she's Darwin's granddaughter.
Nora Darwin Barlow.
Yes, all right.
She was a real person.
Yeah, she's a real person.
I saw a photo of her.
I saw that. Yeah.
She actually looks a lot like herself in the pictures. Yeah. It's just that like they obviously like glamorized her a little bit.
Yeah.
But she does look a lot like herself.
Yeah. No, I liked it. But I thought it was really interesting, and it totally made sense about how the British people would be focusing on the beasties, although I hated the word beasties. I was so sick of beasties.
You have to say it with a Scottish accent, and then it makes sense.
Okay, because I'm not going to do that right now, but I was like, I got sick of beasties. I got sick of it. But I thought it really made sense that the Germans would go to, like, the steampunk, like, they would just start working with the machines and whatnot. Like, it made sense.
They were already into that stuff.
Yeah, they were already into that stuff. It makes sense. I don't know. Teenage son Alec. I don't know. I think Alec needed
I
thought him kind of 1,000% useless. That was kind of how I felt about him.
The thing about Alec is
Derwin could do stuff. Alec did nothing.
Yeah,
Alec was like, I could pull the part of a leg. Like, stupid.
Yeah. It was like, I thought he was a little bit too naive sometimes. Like, he just kind of, not naive, but like, too stupid.
You can say naive. He grew up in a bubble. He's like a fake prince.
And it's like, he seemed a little bit like too unobservant. Like a little too much.
Yeah.
But
I was so sad when they threw the gold bars. I mean, I don't think that's
I was really
when they
sad
threw the gold bars out the window, like off the ship. I was like, seriously, you're doing that right now? Seriously, you can't throw off like one of those useless throwaway characters that Darren knows. Like, really, we can't do that.
Just get rid of Newkirk. But I love Newkirk.
I know. Well, all right, good. I'm glad in the second book, because really the first one, it's like, I'm just kind of like.
The first one, it just kind of introduces the whole world.
Okay.
The second one actually has a plot.
Okay.
Looking back on Leviathan, I'm like, each one has its own subplot, and it's like,
can we talk about how it
Leviathan, it's like, what was the plot of that? Like, what was the climax? Wasn't it like a battle?
It paints Churchill like a punk.
Who? Churchill?
Churchill. What's a Churchill? Yes, an actual person. Yes. It paints him like a punk. He's like such a jerk. Like, he sets all that stuff into motion. I'm not going to explain why, because I'm not going to spoil it, but it's like, I left that, I was like, wow, I guess
everything makes sense.
Churchill was a loser.
It's like, the first book is like, I can't remember what the plot was.
You can't remember what the plot was. I will paint you a picture with my words. So, Darren and Alec are both, their paths collide because of Leviathan, which is maybe the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. It's disgusting.
I love it.
They live in a whale. Oh, I hate whales.
I love whales.
I hate whales.
I think they're like the creepiest, but like most like
I think they're
unlikely
liars.
Things in the world. Like, I feel like when I was little, I always thought of whales as like sea monsters because they were so big and so like huge and like so.
I think they're
unlikely.
liars because I'm pretty sure that they would eat me given half a chance, even though people say they wouldn't, but they would. I'm delicious, and a shark is going to tell you that it's going to eat you, and I feel like a whale's covering it up, and I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like dolphins either. Although DY Pride aside. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of the animal dolphin.
No, that there's like 8 dolphins in this room.
Well, no, I mean like legit like real dolphins, not like, you know, I'm not gonna cry if I see a picture of one. I just don't like them. So Darren is actually, she's posing as Dylan because she's a boy, shocker, and she's in the British Air Force. Except the Air Force doesn't ride around in planes; they ride around in, or at least this person rides around Leviathan, which is a ginormous like hybrid whale creature that they float around in.
The
sort
entire
of like
thing
a
is
Zeppelin.
actually an ecosystem, which basically it's got
The bats.
the bees.
The bees.
It starts with the bees.
The bees
It always
and the
starts
bats.
with the bees. The bees live on the Leviathan. Whenever they go over wind, they come down. They make their nectar. They
pollinate,
make
yep.
honey. Then the honey is fed to the hydrogen worms, which digest the hydrogen. They digest the honey in the stomach of the whale, and then they fart out hydrogen, which keeps the whale in the air. And it just goes on and on. It doesn't really describe the entire thing because it's really, really boring. Basically, the entire thing is an ecosystem.
Yes, it is an ecosystem. But anyways, so they're floating around this big gross whale. And she's posing as a dude because even though it's an alternate history and you can make it not sexist, they decided to keep it sexist, which I really appreciated. Thanks for that. And so she's like floating around. They're gonna go fight the Germans, yada yada yada. Meanwhile, you have Alec, and Alec is actually the son of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Although Franz Ferdinand was an actual person and an actual band, this Alec was made up. And Alec is on the run, and so he and his motley crew are piloting a, what is it called?
Stormwalker.
A Stormwalker through to the Alps, and basically Darren and Alec's paths intertwine when Leviathan crashes, and Alec decides to help them, and their fates become irrevocably linked. And then there's this Dr. Barlow, who's a chick because it's okay. They can be sort of not sexist. Then she has these eggs. It's like, ooh, what are the eggs? What are the eggs? And I don't know what the eggs are. You don't find out in the first book. But she has these secret things, and so you have to take really good care of them. And she's got secrets, and it's very exciting. And so that's where and then it left off. It's like, well, we're going to the Ottoman Empire, peace, and that's the end of the book.
Yeah.
That drove me crazy.
So, what drove me crazy is that I had to wait months before that book came out. Like, the second book came out.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, I had to wait a full year for the third book.
Well, that's
to
right,
come
because the
out.
third book just came out, right? Yeah.
So I was just kind of sitting there like this. Where is it? Where is it?
Well, see,
That's why fan fiction is so important. It keeps me from going in more insane than I already am.
Yeah, so my thing is with Leviathan, I'm just kind of like, I'm waiting. So I'll read the second one. I'll read the third one. You know,
It gets better and better.
All right,
It's kind of funny, like, looking at, like, who thinks the books are awesome and who doesn't. Because, like, when Brandon, who's standing behind the camera right now, read them, he was, like, totally into them from the first page.
Yes.
It took me a couple chapters to get really into it, but I trusted Scott because Scott is awesome.
Scott is the author who Manon talks about as if she knows him.
Yeah. I'm not the only one, though.
I think that this is a big departure from his other works. From what I've read about Scott, from what I've read about Scott Westerfield, it's this seems to be really kind of a drastic departure from trees and extras and uglies and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's usually kind of sci-fi. Usually takes place either modern or, like, in the future. Mm-hmm. And there's usually a lot of sci-fi. Usually, like, the cast are usually, like, 16-ish, maybe a little bit older. His most famous works would be Uglies, which are dystopia. It's awesome.
I love dystopian literature.
It was the first big dystopia that I read, and it's his most famous piece yet. And
I feel like the covers are really misleading, though. They're like always pictures of like hot girls on the cover.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because like, this is a sci-fi book. Like sci-fi usually like sci-fi books usually have like lightsabers and like I don't know dinosaurs and dragons on them.
The new covers, I don't really like them, but a lot of people do. The first one is like this like outline of a face with a sheet over it and like a scalpel, and then the second one is like this leg with like the markings on it.
But don't you
like
think that makes sense more than like the hot girl? Because it's like Uglies, like the cover's like this, like a pretty girl. It's like it's weird.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's like I like the colors. It's just like, why is this girl pretty? It's not supposed to be pretty. This is this Uglies book. Yeah. But then the second one I didn't like, and it was designed by a completely different person than the other three.
You know who should design every book out there is Chip Kidd. He's a book designer.
What did he design?
gosh, like everything, like anything you can think of he has done that is awesome. Like basically you're like, oh, I like that your kid did it. He, my favorite thing that he did is this book called The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. It's basically like To Kill a Mockingbird, but with meth heads, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Although it's sad, but it's amazing. It's so good. Donna Tartt. She also wrote The Secret History. I think he did the cover for that too. And The Secret History is pretty good, but The Little Friend is phenomenal. It's totally phenomenal. It's so good. It's so good. I read it in my hammock. That was also the summer that I reread everything by Joyce Carol Oates, which is good, but it made me sad in my soul because Joyce Carol Oates books are amazing, but very depressing and very disturbing. I think Joyce Carol Oates is a little bit like, she's an emo kid. Happens. So anyway, so Scott Westerfield. So yeah, so again, I like the idea. I like the ideas that are out there. And again, it's logical. It makes sense. I like it. I gotcha. But then some of the sticking points, like again, and then it was like when Darren, like when she hugs Alec, and she's like something like a special feeling, like flew, like washed over her. I was like, like guess what? We know they're gonna fall in love. It's the young adult book. I mean, it's not like that exciting.
Scott, like waited
Scott
to like kind of like he kind of drew out the suspense of like they're actually getting together, but then
but they actually get together.
First interview,
like you know that
he actually introduced them as the romantic leads, and then he's just like, if they get together, whoever they end up with, and I'm just like, no, they're gonna end up together because you already told us they were gonna end up together the very first time you talked about the book.
What was that interview? I'm more interested in your obsession with Leviathan than the actual book. I'm like, whatever, the actual book.
I'm not really sure.
I want to know, like, where were you when you read the book? Like, where were you? Paint me a picture with your words.
Alright, well, when I first got the book, I kind of did them all, and I started reading it immediately. And I kind of was, like, reading it, like, what was eating lunch.
And why did you pick it? Why did you pick it?
Because it was by Scott Westerfield.
All right. It was by Scott.
It was by Scott.
It was by Scott.
Yes. And then I think, like, I just kind of read it, and I was like, I really like talking about it. And even though, like, reading it was, like, really fun, it wasn't that fun. It was talking about it that was so fun.
Yeah.
And then, like, telling other people about it. And then I started talking about it to people, like, on DeviantArt and on Scott's forum, which I haven't been on in months, and all of that, and it's just like, you could just go on and on and on about it. And then on DeviantArt, there's this huge group of people called the Leviathaneers that put out artwork based on Leviathan, like, every single day, but, like, tons of it, and it's awesome. And you can just sit there, like, looking through it for hours and hours and hours.
Now, does he ever make the connection to Hobbes?
Which one?
Leviathan,
The
you know,
captain?
like, well, Hobbes, the Thomas Hobbes, the Enlightenment thinker, the Enlightenment philosopher who wrote Leviathan about the ginormous sea monster.
I believe he does mention somewhere that.
Because I saw that there was a character named Hobbes. Is that the only homage? Because I mean, Thomas Hobbes wrote basically that people were stupid and needed to be controlled, and
Scott's basically writing the opposite.
Yeah. So is that on purpose? And Leviathan really is so gross. Like, honestly, he does a really good job of describing them being like inside the ecosystem, not the big gross whale, but it's disgusting. And even though they call like poop clart, isn't that what they call it? Yes, clart.
It's a Scottish thing.
And then the thing, the jellyfish, how they ride around with the jelly, the Huxleys, I don't know. I mean, it's all really well described, and I could see it, but like mostly I'm just like repulsed. Like I would not want to be.
See, I'm interested. Like I don't like dead things, but like biology, I'll just like read it and I'll be like, that's so cool.
I don't know. And then when they were like, what kind of creature is that? And it was just her tiger. I was like, it's just her tiger.
But it's not a tiger. It's what was it? What's Taz again?
It's a Tasmanian tiger.
That's it. A Tasmanian, but it's actually a thylacine and it's extinct.
When I believe it went extinct before.
Like I watched some videos on YouTube of one because the last one died in the London Zoo like a really long time ago, and it's so cute. There was this video on YouTube, I'm way off topic right now, of this person tickling a real walrus, like not a Perspicacious, unfortunately those don't exist, but a real walrus, and it's just like got these big eyes, and it puts its arms up when you tickle it, and he's just like all happy, and then when you stop, it just looks at you like this.
It's very cute. It's very cute. Although I must say that my YouTube is mostly for like the surprise lemur. I do love Inside School, but or I do, and lately I have been watching Baby Giggles. Baby Giggles are pretty awesome. And you know what I've been watching on YouTube? Because YouTube is amazing. I've been watching people that have got cochlear implants put in, being able to hear for the first time. I'm just watching those, but then I just cry the whole time. But it's really beautiful. Like when babies hear like their giggle for the first time, it's so amazing. So that's what I've been watching on YouTube. I also watched the thing about the little kid who has the mercy rule for football because he's like a football prodigy. And people are like, yeah, and I was like, I don't understand what any of those words mean because I don't play sports, except for the Chowder Cup, the Nauset versus DY faculty flag football game, coming to you soon in November. It's all right. So are you telling me that Leviathan, I just got to put in some time and I'm going to be totally swept away?
Yes.
All right.
Do you need people to talk about it with?
I need some people to talk about. Well, who besides you? Who can I talk about it with?
Me, him, bunch of freshmen. There's
Bunch of freshmen?
Bunch of freshmen. I know off the top of my head of 3 of them, but I'm pretty sure there are more.
Okay.
And then there's some sophomores and juniors that it's spreading to, but unfortunately I only have 1 copy. And the person who has it right now takes a really long time to read stuff.
No, it's for you. That's not cool. All right, so there's 2 more. Is the 3rd one is Goliath, because the Goliath was the last one, right? Is that the last one in the series?
Unfortunately.
So now what's Scott's next move?
Scott is currently working on the 50 other project he's supposed to be working on.
Like what? What
So
else is
right
Scott
now-
up to?
Right now he's writing the graphic novel version of Uglies, which is in a completely different point of view, so it's not like the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
Do
you know who the artist is for that?
I forget. But it's somebody big. Well, there's 2 of them. There's one that does the outline. And then he also does the inking. And then there's another person that does the toning, and she also figures out where all the speech bubbles go, which seems like a totally it goes right there. But it's actually
it's
really
an art.
hard.
It's an art form. Comics are an art form. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll have to find out because I'll definitely check out Uglies.
Because the
graphic
thing
novel.
about Uglies is that the main character really isn't the main character of the story, because everything really happens because of her best friend.
Yeah.
Her best friend does everything before her. She causes everything to happen. Basically, the story wouldn't exist without the best friend. So the graphic novel is written in the point of view of the best friend.
That's all right. I like that. I just read the graphic novelization of The Kite Runner, and the problem with it, and the problem that happens with a lot of novelizations for graphic novels, is that they kind of hope that you've read the book, and so then it's like, so of course, if you're buying the Kite Runner graphic novel, you've probably read the book, but what if you hadn't? And then all of a sudden there's all this stuff that's getting left out that's really, and that kind of bummed me out. And then I feel like that happens a lot. All right, so when's the Uglies one coming out?
I don't know yet.
I'm gonna work on this.
What time is it?
It is.
2:05.
What?
It's
It's about
2:45.
2:45.
I have to leave.
All right, Manon, sleep. All right, Manon's is done.
Oh. No, I have a flute lesson right now.
No, it's all right. So, anyways, we just talked for like a half an hour.
I know.
That was crazy. All right, so we're gonna talk. We'll be back soon. I'm Miss McCauley. This is Manon. This is Books with Manon and McCauley.